sometimes we are making those mistakes just because we don't know. It's and that's where it's at the same time I know the world works around the economics, but this kind of an initiative helps bridge that gap because I remember I wanted to do lighting design in 2002. I couldn't afford it, and I decided not to do so because it was too expensive for me at that time. I've learned on job. This kind of forums bring in a lot more talent into a learning curve.
Education makes a lot of difference. The education is like in India at least, right? When I tell my client like I need a lighting consultant, so why do you need to have a lighting consultant? Just buy lights and hire a vendor and he will put lights and all. No, I need a lighting consultant. He will create an ambience. I need a lighting consultant who will suggest kind of a right kind of a product, right kind of an ambience.
My name is Martin Klaassen and welcome to the virtual lighting design community. We're currently at Light Middle East in Dubai 2024 and I have the pleasure to interview a famous architect and a famous lighting designer from India. I won't try to pronounce your name, so I will let you introduce yourself. You as an architect and a lighting designer, please introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about what it is you do, who you are, maybe some of your projects, so we get a bit of an idea of who you are.
Lucky to be here. I am Kanwal Thareja architect from India, and our practice name is like Kanwal Thareja Architects. And we are in practice from last 30 years. And luckily we are working with most prestigious clients in India and working with different many projects like from all fields of architecture, from commercial, residential, and all institutional projects and all. So that way we are blessed and we have multi kind of projects and happy with the kind of consultant we are working with.
So what sort of projects, like for hospitality or corporate?
We are luckily, as I said, like we are lucky to have different kind of projects. We are doing residential multi-story projects. Right now we are doing 55-story tall building in Delhi. They're coming one of the first building in Delhi, which is the tallest building, which has the luxury towers with the kind of service apartments. So that's the reason I thought I should visit Dubai to get more kind of experience and exposure of those how to deal with the tall story buildings and all.
So you obviously appreciate lighting design, and that's why you have a lighting designer also here.
That's the reason. Harmeet is a kind of a lighting consultant for us, he's working with us. So he told me I should visit this place. And experience of lighting is totally different kind of a thing because in India, the lighting plays a major role. Any kind of a building without lighting is a kind of a dark hole. So all of my projects are like kind of always live up in the evening and all. They look beautiful in the evening. That's only because of lighting consultants. And this show and Light Middle East, one of the wonderful, second time coming here. And I'm so impressed with the kind of improvement from the last year. And
very good.
Good to be here. And I just pass on to Harmeet.
Harmeet, tell me a little bit about.
So I'm Harmeet Singh from India and a lighting designer. A practice will be 20 next year, 20 years old practice. Done almost about 500 projects from small to big, from airports like Hyderabad Airport, Goa Airport, and doing Delhi Airport, master planning for the Aerocity, very diverse projects. Hospitality is where we started, as all of us, we did as lighting designers. And then graduated to now, these days I'm very extensively working into the corporates, which is doing design, lighting design for Google, Microsoft, Apple, as well as Morgan Stanley's, Goldman Sachs, larger spaces, where getting more and more close to human beings and more interactive rather than just, as I say, I was designing for lighting in spaces where you would spend about 2 hours, restaurants or hotels, or 3 hours at the stretch. Now I'm designing for spaces where people are sitting for 12 hours, 14 hours, apart from the residences. So I think that's a big change from and also brings in a lot of consciousness onto how to do that. Because now, from 2 hours to 12 hours of interaction with human beings of the environment what we built, and have been working with Mr. Kanwal Thareja and a lot of projects where infra project which we're with him on it, enjoying ourselves and loving it what we do.
It's a really great point, because it's not often that we see architects and lighting designers travel together to gather intelligence, I guess, what you're doing here to get the latest, because you're obviously based in India, but this is where a lot of things are happening, so you get new technologies. So I love the idea that both of you travel together, because we need each other in lighting and in architecture. So it's great. Maybe can you, and then afterward pass it on to our architect. But what is in your opinion, the important aspect of lighting design and architecture? Why is it that we need each other?
So first of all, I come from very old school. Light for architecture, not architecture for light. Although these days the world is moving very different.
He may think differently about it.
Yeah. Yes, of course. So the way it is, the architecture, we contribute to what has been built and try and bring it to the level, be it as an identity at night, or that matter how comfortable a human being is inside it, in the form of it, how while using it. That's the way. But I can vouch for it, without having a great architect partner to move towards lighting as a design, we wouldn't have been able to deliver anything onto it, because it's not, sometimes there is boundaries are very blurred between especially lighting design and architecture. What is happening is we need to get into the skin, we need to get into it, and unless architect as supportive as Mr. Thareja comes in and says, okay, I'm willing to change this for you, I am willing to extend myself to do this, I'm willing to, it won't happen. That's what I've been blessed. Other way around, that got a chance to work with these many. But
let's hear from the architect. What do you think? How important is lighting for you?
Yeah, it is a kind of a collaborative kind of a system and all. First of all, architects need to have a exposure actually. Most of the time, like, the clients are closer to us, and we know our clients, we know the budgets, we know everything and all. Because we spend too much of time of ours kind of with the client. So client has certain kind of vision, so that we understand that, and he has a budget. Then finally, you need to have exposure. Architects, they don't have exposure sometimes. They say whatever the money is left, we put it into lighting. Lighting comes the later, the last part, where you have a little money and you have to put it into that way. But that doesn't work. That should not work. The architect, when they design from the initial stage, they have to conceptualize. They have to see how the building is going to look. You see, if you look at the hours, the day times and the night time, sunset 5:30 to in the morning, we have plenty of hours. The building in the dark. The building in the dark. So that is a major point when you can visualize the building from interior and outside, right?
Yes.
So that has to be appreciated. Earlier, the building, after the dark, the building was dead. But nowadays it's not. The building comes. Once you come back, you see the glamorous part of the building, right? So glamour comes in the evening, right? So you need to have a good kind of lighting system to exploit the evening, basically, right? So we need to have a kind of a lighting consultants, and we give our feedback to lighting consultant.
You should.
And vice versa, we are learning a lot. It is a learning from me. Sometimes I say, okay, we need to put that much of light, that many kind of lights and all. And no, don't do that. There's so many limitations and all, right? It is a collaborative. We are closer to, we are collaborative. But definitely need more kind of architects to visiting these kind of places and all. I hardly see any architects visiting this lighting.
No, that's why I'm very happy to see you, because that also shows us that you have an interest in lighting, you understand lighting and the importance of what it brings to the buildings you design.
Yeah, because once I know the kind of things which are available right now, I can tell my lighting consultant, yes, I want like this. So can we do this and all? You won't believe, yesterday we were having a dinner somewhere, right? and he was facing the restaurant, I was facing the kind of main road. So I saw the multi-story building here, and there's a night view. The building is coming next to Burj Khalifa. So I told him, Harmeet, look back, look at this building. If I do this, is it possible? He said, no, it is not possible at all. The kind of lighting you see, it is not practical. It is not practical. So the more time we spend together, lighting consultant and architects, it's good for a community, good for the client, good for a kind of everything, So it is a kind of vice versa kind of exposure, right? Yeah.
So this year's theme is enlightened futures. Both of you can respond to this question. So it's enlightened futures in which we touch upon social issues, ethical issues like darkness, circular economy, integration of smart lighting, smart elements into lighting. You've been walking around a bit. Tell me a bit what you feel is important. How does that help us to get better lighting into buildings?
Well, these concerns have been for a while there, and all of us need to address it sooner or later. And that's what it's good that we have started at least talking about it now. If you start from the deep down that level, you see plastics, and as you grow into the deeper middle of the maturer suppliers and manufacturers, I don't know I should say this or not, but what is happening is there is a maturity scene, and I don't want to become the country wise or anything. So what is happening is the sensibility. It's we know all this. Only the thing is the economics and the commercials is moving us dance in a very different way.
There is a use for everything.
Yes.
You know, we have 5-star hotels, we have 1-star hotels, and they all have different applications, different sort of lighting. So in that respect, we also have 5-star lighting brands, we have 1-star lighting brands. It makes sense.
But at the same time, Martin, what I think is I do a lot of product design as well, and I've worked with biggest names where our products are as of now designed and sold in market, which some of us are using as well. It's not about. It's about the strategy of using right materials when we want to go to circular. We're talking about circular. Of course, it's very important. But at the same time, if the materials are wrong and not circulable, it's going wrong. And it's not about 1-star, 1-star, 3-star, 4-star.
I'm just saying that as a sort of metaphor.
Agreed. The quality would definitely, there is a crispness or a, I would say, luminar. I would like to keep the efficiency aside, but at the same time, if the technically a diffused light may not be a very popular among lighting designers, but at the same time, it has an application. What you said,
exactly, that's it.
But making it out of a right material and a right quality is a responsibility which we need to have, be it in a 1-star or a cheapest one or the most expensive one, because the cheap one is really very expensive for the environment.
You know what I often say as a line designer? One of my prime tasks is education. I need to educate my client, and I'm sure you as an architect do the same thing.
Education is the right time. The right thing to highlight that. Education makes a lot of difference. You know, the education is like, in India at least, right? When I tell my client, like, I need a lighting consultant, so why do you need to have a lighting consultant? Just buy lights and hire a vendor and he will put lights and all. I mean, no, I need a lighting consultant. He will create an ambience. The ambience, I know what kind of ambience I'm looking for. No, sir, I need a lighting consultant who will suggest kind of a right kind of a product, right kind of an ambience, right kind of a fitting fixtures and all. So we need a consultant. You know, finally, you know what happens? The thing which I am facing is, like my lighting consultant, they advise a good kind of a light. Finally, the budget comes in all. So budget is huge, which is fine. But same kind of product you get on a lesser price and all, right? So in this market, which I am not confident about the price which they are quoting into it. The price which you see in the market, in the catalogs, and the price which I see in this exhibition is major difference. And where I am not very confident, this is like, how do you do this? This is like what it is basically, right? The actual price and the market price totally different. And the lighting consultant, they are very good, and the exposure of all this kind of products, the kind of materials.
We should know.
So what I say, the client should have certain kind of education. You should call a couple of good developers. like anywhere in the world, you call some developers, some architects, so that they get a kind of a good exposure in the education. And once they get educated, yes, they're free to use any kind of product. It's up to them. You use 1 star, 3 star, 4 star, 5 star, depending on budget. But it should be exposed and all, right?
But see, sometimes you need to also justify the client why you need to have a premium brand, and very often it's not because of the quality of the product, but also the service that the product and the brand gives. Now, I want to make a little bridge from, we talked about education, educated client. You're here interviewed on the virtual lighting design community stage, and one of our key elements of our community is lighting education. Is sharing of knowledge, right? So you didn't know about the VLDC, but we explained a little bit to you. I would love to hear your understanding and appreciation of what the virtual lighting design community can do for our lighting community in general.
Makes a lots of difference, major difference. This is kind of first time I heard VLDC is going to be a kind of a landmark kind of a decision, and it will expose and give us a good education for a client, for an architect, any kind of person who's sitting, whoever is not attending today, but is virtually connected. Virtually connected, right?
Absolutely,
so that makes a less sense. Like it is one of the best kind of example to do that, and it should be appreciated and should be promoted more and more. I can share these kind of ideas with my clients, my architects, my friends in Delhi. So this is a kind of good platform. Should be promoted well in Harmeet. Yeah.
I think it's a lovely economical way of reaching out to education. And education is not cheap. We all know that. We all have seen colleges, and I think it brings in a lot of knowledge and to accessible to many people who want to learn. And sometimes we are making those mistakes just because we don't know. It's and that's where it's at the same time, I know the world works around the economics, but this kind of an initiative helps bridge that gap. Because I remember I wanted to do lighting design in 2002. I couldn't afford it, and I decided not to do so because it was too expensive for me at that time. And I went into work with Philips, work with many other. I didn't have this kind of thing. I've learned on job. I'm an illiterate lighting designer, I say always, which is there. So at the same time, this kind of forums bring in a lot more talent into a learning curve and avoiding those
we also want
initial errors.
We also want to spread the word outside the lighting community. That's why I'm so happy that you are here as an architect, because we need also architects to be part of this.
Absolutely.
You have to work with lighting, electrical engineers, you name it. So in that respect, that was the idea of interviewing the two of you together, the architect and... So thank you very much for this interview.
Very much.
Very much appreciated.
Looking forward.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And all the best.